don't stream on a Sunday, so this is kind of out of the ordinary for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my chat is set up for you guys. All right. Just checking a couple of my settings while I let you guys file in here. Okay. Welcome guys to this Sunday special. So when I was thinking about this, the reason I decided to do this special is it's coming into travel season for many people, not only during the holidays, but also with stuff coming up through the summer. From now until the end of the year, people are going to be traveling. And the highest point of traveling is either right during the Thanksgiving Christmas season or throughout the summer. Coming into summer season, it's important for everyone to be prepared when they're going to do these road trips. Today, I'm going to really kind of talk about safety. I'm going to talk about what you should prep for tools so you're ready to go. I'm also going to break down a few other items that you may want to bring with you that could help you in a pinch if you knew you had something wrong with the vehicle. One of them is very basic if you have it, because it'll tell you what's wrong with the car and point you in the right direction as far as where you would need to take it if it was broke. I'll go over the tools later on, but we're also going to do something else in this video. Setting up for next week, I need to get the tires off of that old girl right there. That is our Malibu steel that we're doing a front bumper cover on. We've done a lot of work to it already. If my mods are in, mods, please check in down below. And once we get rolling here, I'm going to do something that I'm going to start doing every podcast from here on out. Once we start getting enough people rolling in, I'm going to ask everyone to throw wrenches up in the chat, and I'm going to like those wrenches so that we can increase the engagement. So that's something that I'm working on here. And to let you guys know, I did put out a post saying I wasn't going to go live this weekend. I decided this topic was good enough and it's fresh enough and I have the tools out. It just makes sense for me to go ahead and do it today. Also, I have a little bit of free time that I can dedicate some time to you guys here and give you guys some content, which is what we're trying to do. Mr. Mustache says, hi. Hi, good to have you in here on this Sunday. And still waiting for a few of my mods to check in. Again, mods, check in down below. I'd like to know when you guys are in. Bill, hi, one of my mod squad guys. So all of the people that are in the chat are OBD2 squad members, meaning you guys are here, you guys are interacting with the chat, you guys are the OBD2 squad members. All of my mod squad guys are guys that I've given wrenches to. They're the ones who help me with chats, pay attention to what's going on down below, and they also kind of help guide some of the questions that are asked. You guys can chat in any question down below. I'll happily read it on screen and help you answer your automotive questions. If you have political, some of those I tend to steer away from, but if they're automotive related, I will address them because that's what we do here. It's mainly automotive, but we do get into some of the political stuff when it interferes in the automotive world. Mr. Mustache, I have school tomorrow. If that's the case, you are very, very young and you're tuning into an automotive content channel. So this might help you several years down the road from now when you can potentially buy a car and drive. So yeah, as we go here, guys, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. It really does help the channel, helps us engage. It also helps us get the content out there. We're looking at doing merch here later on this year. So this is some of the merch that we're looking at making for you guys. It'll be a little different than this. This is a big patch that I wear for filming on on here. So, how do I change the transmission fluid in my 17 Subaru Outback? That question is from Frank. Frank, sometimes those are sealed transmissions. So you need to identify what transmission you have. Then you have to figure out what the procedure is to go ahead and do that. Some of them just have a simple drain plug on them. You'll pull the drain plug, let the oil run out, and there's going to be another one that's up higher that is your fill. You'll take out the fill, you'll fill it until it starts coming out of that drain plug. That is very typical of what Subaru does. A lot of them don't run filters unless they're internal, meaning you would have to take the whole transmission apart to do a filter change. If you're just looking to swap out fluid, look for those bolts. The best thing to do is take your Subaru Outback engine model, go online and look up the specs for the transmission. If you got a manual, it'll be a little easier. If you got an automatic, you might have to do some digging. But that would be where I would point you to go to for starters. Cody asks, you put music on your live? No, I do not. Because of copyright issues, I do not have music on my lives. The reason I don't is for that reason. I don't want to deal with that on the backside. Now, on my YouTube or on my Facebook and Instagram, when I make reels, I will put music to those, and then I just do profit sharing, which I can do over there, but I can't do here. But my main streaming is here. This is where I do all my streaming. I don't do streaming on any other platform. Jay, good to have you in here today. Another one of my Wrench Squad members. Cody says, Ayo, do you deal with low ballers on a daily basis? How does one get a good job and charge it as such without being buttered? Okay, so what he asked was a very in-depth question, guys. Give me just a second. I really want to break this down because this does get into owning your own shop versus just doing what you can on the side. If you're just a mechanic working on the side and you decide to open up your own small little shop, kind of like what I did, which is just more or less a side thing for the YouTube, but also helps me work on my own stuff, what you need to do is decide where you need to be at per hourly rate. Right now, dealers are average anywhere from about $160 to $180 to work on your car. That's a dealership. You're not going to get that, though, because on the open market, you have a lot of smaller competing shops. Those smaller competing shops are going to push more towards the, how do I want to say it? They're going to be closer to that $100, anywhere from a $80 to $100 range. If you're just going to do it out of your garage and you just want to make a little money on the side, then obviously you'll want to be anywhere from the 50 to probably 80 range, just under what a real shop or like a full shop would charge, because a full shop should be able to do more than you could do out of your own personal garage. But if you have all the tools and everything you need, you can obviously build it from that point. The biggest thing is to have your base tools so you can do most things, such as oil changes, tune-ups. This includes being able to do spark plugs, O2 sensors, things like that. You want to be able to replace most sensors, oil changes, and tune-ups if you're just starting out. And as far as trying not to offend customers, you just try to keep your prices affordable. Let the people come to you that want to come to you. Don't push to try to get more people, because the more you do that, the more it actually hurts what you're doing. Trying to get a better signal here for you guys, so I'm moving around a bit. There we go. But yeah, you want to build a business, and in order to build that business, you do want to start at a relatively decent rate. And customers don't get offended when you have to actually charge a decent price, as long as you're being upfront and honest with them. When you're pulling shady stuff and you're trying to slide things in on a bill, that's when there's going to be a problem. If you need to do, like, let's say paper towels or stuff like that, just automatically calculate that into your labor rate and don't put it on the bill additionally. Because what you do is when you put it on the bill additionally, you kind of make the customer feel like they're getting scammed or cheated. When you put it into your labor rate and all they see is parts and labor, it really simplifies it for the customer, and they really do appreciate that. Now, you can't get carried away and overcharge in that area, because again, if your labor rate gets too high, you're not going to get the customers. You guys are doing great with the likes, and the viewership is awesome. Thank you guys so much for the support here on this Sunday. I'm going to shut off my heater quick. So I got a few things we're going to get into today, guys. Like I said, we're peeling the tires off of Malibu steel. I'm tossed up. I may leave it up to my mods here. Do you guys want to see a tire video next week, or do you want to see me start getting the front bumper put together on this thing? So I might leave that up to my mod squad or guys that are in the chat right now, part of my OBD2 squad. You guys, I'll leave it up to you guys to chat in what you guys really want to see for next week. Let's see here. We got Cody again. Small competing shops ain't got much incentive to do a good job. That's tough. So here's the deal, is small shops oftentimes have to do a good job because their reputation rides on it. If they do a poor job, bad word travels faster than good word. So you need to do 10 good jobs before that'll spread to other people. But you do one bad job and 100 people will know. So that's the difference. You'll find out real quick when the small shops are good and when they're not, because the word travels quickly. I know I take a ding for it every time I do videos. It happens. I get shop guys that just get really, really mad. And Bill, we've got a lot of the time the shops make money on the parts. There's a list price, stocking dealer price, and the net price. Also sold parts when I was younger. Yes, Bill is correct. So some shops will make their main money off of their parts, meaning that when they're doing low labor rates, what'll happen is they'll charge the customer full price for those parts. Dustin says, we ain't in the business to sell your parts at cost. Yeah, everybody needs to make money through this process, and that's just fair. Everyone needs to be able to make money to support their family or be able to provide a living for themselves. That's fact. There are shops that are going way above and beyond. I've seen some shops that are charging double the parts price just to try to turn a profit on a job. And some shops do this when they want to turn a job down. Rather than them saying, no, we won't do your job, they double the parts price or double the labor price. Again, these are shady practices that you have to watch out for. It's always good to get a second estimate. Make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into before you actually agree to have that repair done. It just takes some time to do it. It's not something that is really going to hurt you in the long run by getting a second estimate. Dustin says, I can't go with a full list though. That's a recipe for disaster. Yeah, oftentimes, okay, so what both Bill and Dustin are saying is whenever you go to an auto parts store and you ask them for a part, Oftentimes they're going to have the full retail price, which is ridiculous, and nobody's going to pay it. Then you're going to have a walk-in price, what a walk-in customer would pay. Then you're going to have another price based on volume of buying, meaning that if it's a repeat customer or if it's somebody who runs a repair shop buying stuff, they're going to get it at an even lower price than that because they know that they're reselling it. And how that works is that lower price, they will go back up to what they could buy it at the auto parts store, and that's what should get charged to the customer. Some are going all the way back up to that full retail, and that's where the problem's coming in on that side of things. Again, we see this in the smaller shops. Dealers are automatically full retail all the time. If you take it into a dealer, you're paying full retail regardless. Oftentimes they're doing things through warranty, so they don't care because their money is going to come from the manufacturer, not from the customer. And the customers that are paying for it oftentimes will try to find a smaller shop that can do it for less money. Unfortunately, I did talk about one a few weeks ago with the Dodge Ram e-Torx and how that is proprietary technology, meaning nobody else has control of that. They are jacking the price because they can. And they're so tight with the technology that they're not giving it out. That is also another problem. Dustin, I agree with telling people I don't want to work on your car rather than pricing it so high that you won't do it. Yeah, Dustin, you're on a very important point, and this is the difference between somebody who's a quality repairman and somebody who's shoddy. If you're doing shoddy stuff, you're playing games, that's exactly, I'm telling you what the other side of the coin is. You're not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's not what I do. When I bid a job, I bid it to how I would feel comfortable if I had to walk in and pay that bill. And if I look at it and I feel like I'm getting robbed, then I'm going to look for other options for the parts or see if there was a shorter way to lower the labor rate because I can spend less hours on it. I charge per the hour, not on a book rate. I always hated book rates for a few reasons. Book rates are scams, guys. Plain and simple, book rates are scams. The reason why is it pushes the mechanic to push that vehicle out faster and not necessarily dig for what the real problem is. Also, what happens on book rate, mechanics want to stack jobs as fast as they can because then they can make more money per hour. And what this does is really puts the mechanic in a bad spot, the vehicle owner in a bad spot, and can put a really bad light on the repair shop. The repair shop that usually are the worst for these book rates though are dealerships. Because again, their customer isn't always the person walking in the door. Oftentimes it's the manufacturer. Let's see here. A Bad Wrench Auto, anything helps, man, please. Spooky 02, did I miss a chat from you? I'm looking back here. I don't see another chat from you. Not quite sure what you meant by that, Spooky 02. But thank you. Yeah, I try to give you guys solid knowledge at all times. I try to break down the situations. Again, we're going to get into, in just a little bit, we're going to get into tools you should take with you on a road trip, how to be safe on a road trip, you know, family road trips, things you should bring with you and have with you. This stuff will help keep you avoiding these big repair costs that we are talking about right now. Monty Money says, what's good, homie? Do you... I'm not going to finish reading that. Dustin, I made a good living being brutally honest. I have a shop in Savannah, Georgia. I found that customers appreciate my brutal honesty more than they appreciate being nice. Yeah, honestly, for the most part, you have to be honest with customers straight up. I mean, I don't sugarcoat things for my customers. When I look at a problem, I look at exactly what it is, what it's going to take to fix it, and I tell them what it is. I also tell them if you haven't been doing proper maintenance along the way, you're going to eat additional costs. This is the way of the way things work. We may not like it, but it is how this system works. If you're not doing your maintenance along the way, it's going to cost you more money. And honestly, I try to give as much knowledge as I can here so people can do their own basic maintenance. Because basic maintenance, you should not ignore no matter what your budget level is. You can do an oil change in your own driveway or garage. And if you live in a restricted area where they don't allow that, you're kind of made a bad choice there. I know some HOAs are extremely restrictive. I've had people message me and say, how can I get by with this? Your HOA rule, as long as you have a garage, you can pull it in and do whatever you want as long as you don't open that garage door. It's happening within a building that they can't see. The other option is, if you know a few people that like working on their own cars, you can go in on your own storage unit where you would be allowed to be able to go and do a few of the things we're talking about. That's some ways around HOA. Just some sneak peek info there for you guys. Dustin says, where is your shop based out of? I am out of Minnesota, guys. I'm not going to give an exact city location, but I am out of Minnesota. So I deal in the Rust Belt, meaning that we've seen things come through here that are extremely rusty. Also, I've done automotive work for the better part of 30 years. My knuckles feel it when it gets cold and temp. My joints, my bones, everything, it hurts over time. So I've been in this a long time, guys. I'll give you guys just a little bit more time to chat in, and then we're going to get going on our topic. And then later on in this video, we're going to break in. I need to get those off of there because we're doing a video next Saturday, 1 p.m. Central, when we usually go live. I need to know if you guys want one on tires or if you guys want me to start putting together the front bumper on Malibu steel. Okay. Malibu steel is a 2012 Malibu LT with about 144,000 miles on it. We just got done doing timing chain on it. We've done struts. We've done the wheel liners and gotten everything ready to start reassembling the front bumper. I do need tires before I get too carried away here. So I will either do a tire video or a bumper video. Make sure you guys leave that in down below. If you guys are just checking in, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It really does help us grow this channel. Again, I want to bring you guys merch, but we got to reach a certain point to where I can put a store in. So, Bill, wait until you're 75. I got a feeling with the way I treated my body when I hit 75, I don't think my hands are going to move. I've been very rough with my hands over the years. I've gotten a lot better. I've tried my best not to smash my knuckles every time I grab a wrench. And it's helped, but yeah, I wear the scars of being in this industry. And it does make a difference how you treat yourself, how you take care of yourself. I'm working on quite a few different things health-wise to be able to stay in this longer and be able to do this longer. But, you know, I think I already told you guys I'm already nursing an injury from my previous job, a torn muscle in my shoulder. And that has kind of changed a few things for me, especially how I work on cars and like the length that I work on them. It does kind of impact that over time, but it's getting better. It's just slow, and I got to be careful not to overdo it. Giving you guys just a few more minutes, and then we're going to break into the topic. Millionaire, I appreciate the question, but I will not answer that for obvious reasons. I do try to keep my family out of the limelight. I do this to give back to you guys, but I don't put my family in front of camera like that. Okay. All right, guys, let's go ahead and break into today's topic. Today's topic is tools, and tools that we'll want to bring with us on a road trip. Let's start off with the basics here, guys. We're going to start off with basics because this is where we need to start off at. Setting up a few basics for you guys. This is basics that you need to bring with you on a road trip. Okay. Why are these the basics that you need to bring with you? Well, some vehicles will consume fluids over time. When they consume fluids over time, you need to have this stuff ready to put into the vehicle. Now, if yours doesn't leak anything, you're taking this with as a precautionary measure. Sometimes you can't buy what you need out on the road. Other times you can. So, branded oil like this, you can get anywhere at any place that you stop. So the oil isn't crucial, but it does help. Knowing that you have oil with allows you to not have to worry about, oh great, I think I'm losing a little bit of oil, or I think it's starting to consume oil. I need to get someplace so I can get it looked at. If you have it with you, you can put it in and get to where you need to go. If you don't even have it with you, you're going to be broken down on the side of the road, which is the last place you want to be, regardless. Side of the road is the most dangerous. It's where more people get hurt during a roadside repair than any time that they're focusing on what they're doing. Now, things happen out on the road, don't get me wrong. I also drive truck for a living, guys. I also know how dangerous it is out on the road. But the risk of being on the side of the road for a repair is extremely dangerous. So you want to minimize your time on the side of the road, but you also want to have enough that you can get whatever you need to get done quickly and get off a major freeway or roadway so that you can get it looked at or get it fixed. Again, if you have special coolant though, make sure you bring it with on a long road trip because you're not going to be close enough to be able to grab some unless you're lucky enough to find a dealer nearby that has the right stuff. Most coolant you can get at most auto parts stores. Unfortunately, the stuff for our Kia, I have to get at a Kia dealership. Got a chat here. Let me check this out before we move on to the next question. I have a 2024 Honda Accord. It says to change the oil at 10,000 miles. Is that true? Or is it better to change it at 3K like the vintage old days in the 90s? Okay, so we've covered this topic a few times, but I'm not afraid to break into it anytime somebody asks this question. Don't ever go near 10,000 miles on an oil change. The reason why is your oil will gather engine contaminants. As it gathers those contaminants, the oil becomes contaminated or dirty, regardless if it's a full synthetic or not. It builds up in the engine oil and can do damage to the engine over time. It also causes extreme carbon buildup. Always change your oil between the 3 to 5K. If you're running a conventional oil only, 3K. If you're running a full synthetic, you can go to 5, just like Jay said down below. So I helped Jay with this not too long ago with his dad. His dad wasn't doing his oil changes. We talked about that on one of our previous streams, and we really kind of broke that all down. You really want to keep it between that 3 to 5 range. We do 4 on this. I do 4 on this and on Crimson Vortec because I put enough miles on them. The Silver Swine, which is my 04 Toyota Tacoma, I drive maybe 2,000 miles a year on that truck. It's more of a toy for me than it is an actual truck or something that I would use as a daily driver. It's really low miles, almost mint and original, so I don't drive it that often. That is a once a year oil change. So no matter what, if you're storing a vehicle over winter, not driving it much, you need to do at least once a year oil changes if you're just storing a vehicle. Never store a vehicle for more than a year. That is what we call a long-term layup. When you lay them up that long, oftentimes there's a lot of extra steps you need to do if you're going to lay them up for over a year. Meaning that you're going to want to drain the fuel out of the fuel lines and everything. You're going to want to put in a long stay oil, something that'll hold over time so that the next time you fire it up, you'll be able to run it for a little bit and then do your oil change. Also, fluids do go bad over time, and if you live in an area that has moisture, so temperatures rising and falling, you'll get condensation. If that happens, you're going to need to do a full fluid flush on the entire vehicle when you pull it up out of storage if you're doing a long-term storage on a vehicle. Again, I never recommend long-term layups. It's just not worth it. Hey guys, Gentle Giant with the super chat. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and like that comment right there. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for the super chats. I don't ask for them. I answer your guys' questions without doing super chats, but anyone who gives back like that, I definitely shout them out. Also, guys, we are working on our members only site. So we do have a members only. I'm not sure if that mod is in here today. P. Norton, you might be here, you might not be. He is one of our first members only. And I am working at building that members only for my guys. And some of the stuff that we do in the future when we get enough members only is like what I'm talking about with next week's video, either tires or front bumper. It's going to be my members only that are going to make those decisions and kind of help guide the content from that point on. Jay says, W on the donation. Yes, thank you so much. It's so much appreciated, guys. I really do. The Node. I drive a Honda Civic and always keep a bottle of coolant in the boot and a bottle of, some vehicles, you just want to carry it with you, especially if you drive a long distance to and from work. Guys, we got 12 of you in here. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Guys, we do this every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central. We're also trying to bring you guys merch for the future. The merch is going to look a little different than this. This is kind of for YouTube, so I need to make it so it stands out. Dio, mechanics for Christmas is absolutely wild. Gentle Giant blew my mind when I found out my 24 Accord does not have the option to check engine temp. Warning light lets you know to shut off the car engine, but no temp. I am worried about repairs in the future. So if your vehicle does not have a full gauge cluster that you're used to, you can go ahead and go on Amazon and look for some kind of Bluetooth adapter that would plug into your OBD2 port. And then you can link it to a tablet and it'll allow you to do a custom set of gauges for the vehicle. And it'll read to that tablet and you'll be able to see everything. It's not ideal. They really should put temp gauges in all the cars and not just go with dummy lights. But they do it. And because they do it, we have to deal with it. Unfortunately, that's the way around it. Also, that is a nice segue into the next tool we should bring on a road trip, guys. The next one we should bring is always some kind of scanner. And now it doesn't have to be a Bluetooth scanner. It can just be a simple handheld. Now, this one here is not a simple handheld. It does let me do live data, so I can see live engine temp at the same time that it's going on in the computer, meaning I can see all that stuff going on. Live data information is crucial in figuring out what's wrong with a car. And like I just said in a video I made probably a week or two ago, engine codes don't always tell you what's wrong with the car. Engine codes will point you in the direction of what's wrong with the car. Sometimes it's a simple sensor has failed, it's no longer reading, and you can move forward with that. Other times it's telling you, hey, this particular thing is out of range, meaning you have something else wrong. We talked about that when we were dealing with Malibu steel. We were looking at a bad map sensor, which turned around to be not a map sensor, but a throttle body. And inside the throttle body, we have throttle position. We also have throttle control. I was having problems with the vehicle revving up in weird times and holding RPMs when it shouldn't. So I pointed it towards that, but the check engine light came for the map sensor, which is why I tell you guys, always keep your old sensors when you're doing diagnostics like that you're chasing problems. Put the sensor in, try it. If you notice weird things, put the sensor back and look at what could be attached or what else could be causing that particular problem. In that situation, it was a combination of a small seal that was wore out on the map sensor, but it was also a bad throttle position sensor located inside the throttle body, meaning that part, the connector on the side, ran not only the throttle blade for airflow into the engine, but it also ran the throttle position, which allowed that to adjust fuel and spark. Because that wasn't working right, it threw everything out of whack. And the truth is the scanner pointed me in the right direction, but it took the live data to confirm what was going on. It wasn't able to confirm the throttle position very well, and even at base idle, it was showing throttle percentage. This is something you don't want to see. Whenever you're doing live data pull, you should not be pulling throttle percentage at base idle, meaning that when it's fully warmed up and it's just idling, it shouldn't be pulling throttle percentage. Now, the only car that I've seen any kind of weird, almost like it does it anyway, is on this thing, which is a Kia Soul. There, I think their base idles are based from engine shutoff, which is weird to me. It's not the way it's supposed to work. All of your domestic vehicles are set up that if you're at base idle, fully warmed up, you should not be pulling throttle percentage. Throttle percentage comes in, and then it goes from there. Give me a second here, guys. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Give me just a bit. I'll be right back with you. While I'm away in the chat, mods, take over. I want to see some good chat when I come back. Guys, make sure you get that like up and the subscribe. All right, guys. I'm back. Jay. Says low key, I think the Ram should keep the V8 instead of the inline six turbo. Oh, that's a good opinion brought up there. Let's talk about that just a little bit. What we noticed is there's new ownership at Stellantis. The new ownership is the old ownership when it was under Fiat. They knew they made a mistake. They're now trying to double back. There is talk that they're going to be bringing back the Hemi next year. We'll see if they do. Honestly, I think it would be a wise move to have a V8 platform in your half-ton pickups, because a lot of times your half-ton pickups are doing towing. If you don't have the torque, you can't do the towing. That's just plain and simple what it is. Guys, there's 9 of you in here. Guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're really trying to build the channel. I only press you guys because we got to get this up. We got to bring everything up in order for us to do a merch store. And I really want to bring you guys merch this year. But yeah, Gentle Giant, I hope that helps answer your question on how you can get around that light. So now that we've talked about you should bring a scanner while you're on your trip, let's talk about some of the basic tools that you should be bringing with. Quickly, Jay says, a pickup truck is not a pickup truck without a V8 engine. Correct. Anything smaller than a V8 engine is either a midsize or a small truck or mini truck. Toyota Tacoma is a small truck. It's not a full-size truck. The Tundra would be a full-size truck. The Silverado is a full-size truck. The Colorado is a mid-size truck, meaning that I can understand a 6-cylinder option in that, but I do not understand a 4-cylinder turbo. Again, you guys know how I feel about turbos. Turbos are power adders, meaning you put them on to increase horsepower. When you do that, you are potentially adding a point of failure. Naturally aspirated engines are the best way to go. And when we build a V6 4.3 for Crimson Vortec, I'm going to show you guys how to get power back that the manufacturer intentionally derated it by doing certain things. You guys will gain that power back when you do an engine build. Just know it does cost you some money when you go this route. The Big Bad Wolf says, how much horsepower can I make out of a 2011 Volvo S60 with a 3.0 inline turbo all-wheel drive? Okay, so Big Bad Wolf, let me put it this way. The all-wheel drive is actually going to lower your horsepower because you're asking all your wheels to turn, not just either front or back. So that's going to take away more power that the engine will put to the ground. Does it change how much power is put out by the engine? No, that doesn't change. So when we look at this and we take this step back, he did add one here. It says it comes with 300, but I want to turn up the boost. So are you looking to do internals? Are you looking to build that engine? Meaning, are you going to strip it all down, put it all back together with new gaskets and a new way for it to hold what you're going to do to it? No. Okay, so if you're just wanting to turn up the boost without fixing the internal issue, what'll happen is you can get away with turning the boost up slightly, meaning that you can get a little bit more boost out of it, but if you go too much, you're going to blow out the head gaskets. The reason I ask if you're going to build the engine is when you build it, you can build it for high horsepower situations, meaning you could put a bigger turbo on it. Oftentimes when you're dealing with a situation like this, I tell people the worst thing that happens in vehicles that are drive-by-wire is the throttle lag. If you can get rid of that throttle lag, you'll actually be able to utilize the power of that engine. You might have 300 horsepower right now, but if it's a drive-by-wire, which I'm pretty sure it is, that drive-by-wire has lag to it, meaning that it doesn't respond. When you press it to the floor, it takes time for it to open that throttle body. If you can correct that, you'll be in a lot better spot. There are companies out there that make products that will help you with that. I tend to lean away from Pedal Commander because they did have some issues with frying computers and throttle bodies. There's a couple of them out there now, though. One of them is Roar Pedal, which you could use your phone, and all it does is unplug your throttle pedal. You'll plug one from the box that you buy, will go into the pedal. The other one will go into the connector that you unplugged from the pedal. That little system is all you need, and then through Bluetooth on your phone, you can adjust the sensitivity of that throttle. Meaning you can make that car feel like it has 300 horsepower like that because it doesn't have the lag to it. I haven't fully tested that product to verify that it is going to not damage stuff later on though. And that's my honest opinion about it. You have to be able to vet and test this stuff. Right now, preliminary stuff that's coming out on Roar Pedal is good, but they haven't been out very long. So make sure that you do the homework on that before you just jump into any throttle response stuff. And all right. And that should really help you out. If you want to increase horsepower, I'll tell you, you can do simple things like replacing your spark plugs with E3 spark plugs. People joke about the E3s, but they're no joke. They increase fuel mileage and give you a cleaner performing running engine. We know because we did it on this Malibu Steel. Malibu Steel was the first one of all of our vehicles to get E3 spark plugs. I went from 27 miles to the gallon to 31. It's no joke. They do work. Also, make sure your coil packs are not old. If you're pushing coil packs that are more than probably 6 years old, especially if you're trying to do anything performance-wise, that's a bad idea. Those coils run at a very intense rate constantly, and it does diminish over time. So the longer the coils are in there, the less effective they are. It's a diminishing return thing on coils. So, and I know coil costs are not cheap, guys. Honestly, I know because I got a customer that's considering doing it. They're looking at spending almost $1,000 for 8 coils on a vehicle already. So that's a huge thing. But that's where I would start. Clean throttle body, good spark plugs, good coils. Fix your throttle lag from factory, and then decide if you want to go farther. If you want to go farther, I would suggest consulting a tuning shop. More than likely, they're going to tell you you're going to have to do internals if you want to put a bigger turbo on. If you want to go bigger turbo, you're going to need to do some tuning no matter what anyway. But they're going to suggest you how to do it properly. Sometimes they'll tell you run this turbo, and this will give you enough performance that you don't need to go more than pulling your head and putting a good head gasket in it with a head job done on the head. Other ones are going to tell you you're going to need a full cam setup, you're going to need to completely rebuild the engine, and you're going to need dome pistons. So depending on how far you want to go with it, depending on how far you want to push it, that's up to you. So Big Bad Wolf says, awesome, thank you. I will check it out. I had good luck with Banks. Yeah, Banks is another one, guys. The Banks one actually is the best one out of all of them. It's way more expensive, but they took the time to make sure they're not going to fry computers and throttle bodies. Banks is number one on my list, but I am looking for a more affordable option for all of you guys. So that's why I'm looking at the Roar pedal right now. I'm not confirmed whether I want to do that one or not, though. I may try it on Malibu Steel. I may. Diesel Beats says, I have a Ram 1500. What should I update my drive shaft if I want more horsepower? What year Ram do you have, and does it currently have the steel drive shaft or aluminum drive shaft? that does make a huge difference. The aluminum drive shaft already handles more power out of the gate with less vibration. If you have the steel one, you may have to consider 2019 with e-torque or without. No. Okay, good. You don't have that e-torque problem. All right. Big Bad Wolf, I'll get right back to your comment here shortly. So what I would suggest is if you're going to increase the power, how are you looking to increase that power? Are you going to be looking to put power adders on it? Are you looking to do engine mods? How are you going to increase that power? And while you're answering that one, I'm going to go back to the Bad Wolf. Pro Charger. Okay, I'll get right back to you on the Pro Charger. What do you think? Big Bad Wolf says, what do you think about pop and crackle tunes? So I don't know each tuning company, if that's what you're asking. When it comes to tuning, make sure you consult somebody who's really good, because a bad tune will destroy an engine in a heartbeat. If they don't get the fuel mixture right, and I talked a little bit about this when I did a separate video on tuning and performance stuff. The tune has to be right, and it has to match the stoichiometric rate, meaning that if they're not maintaining stoichiometric, that means proper air to fuel mixture. That is all done through many different things. It's done from how much fuel is put in the engine, how much air the engine can get, and how much timing you really have in that engine. I wanted to make sure I said that right, because I don't want people to get confused when I say something here. Tuning is very specific. You have to know what you're doing with it. And if you do it wrong, you're going to wreck stuff very quickly. So in order to balance a good tune to where you don't have a pop or a bang or a crack or a lag or a drop in throttle, if they're on the dyno and they're doing a pull on that dyno and all of a sudden they just see it stop and then pick up, that's a dead spot. That dead spot is created by something, and you need to figure out what that was, because that dead spot could potentially overfuel the engine, and when it kicks back in, it cause an over explosion or a late explosion in the cylinder, which could damage the engine. So those are things you definitely want to pay attention to on a tune. And this kind of goes with Diesel Beats comments as well. The Pro Charger is a good way to build power. My concern with that power, though, is you're going to need a tune in order to get that right. Dodges are notorious for having weak transmissions, meaning even if you increase the horsepower, your weak point isn't necessarily the drive shaft, it's the transmission. You may have to consider a transmission rebuild, one that can withstand the horsepower that you're going to be putting down. If you know preliminary numbers, you can go a little bit above and beyond when you're giving your transmission to the guy to rebuild, and he can build it for a higher horsepower range. But just know that usually when you rebuild a transmission, it's about $1,000 per gear. So just know that that's what you're dealing with. On a 2019, I believe that would be an 8-speed. So you're looking at about $8,000 for a transmission build. That's kind of a base model transmission build. That's not a performance. So as they upgrade the clutch packs, as they upgrade the synchros, as they go into the internals and increase all of that, that adds additional cost. I've seen people spend as much as $25,000 on a solid high performance transmission that'll hold the horsepower. So that's kind of what you're looking at. Again, your weak point is not the drive shaft. Your weak point is going to be that transmission first. Once you get past that and you're putting the power to the ground through the transmission, you may want to look at maybe having a separate company build you drive shafts. In the state I live in, there's a company called Catco. They will custom build drive shafts, even heavier duty drive shafts for racing applications. What they do is they increase the diameter on the steel drive shafts so that they don't twist as easy. They can also increase the thickness of that tube so that it doesn't twist as easy. Again, that stuff all adds weight though. Oftentimes aluminum is the way to go because they can withstand the higher RPMs. But again, it all has to be rated for the horsepower you're putting down. Make sure you figure out your preliminary numbers because it really can be disastrous. Diesel Beat says, or maybe Hellcat charged. The Hellcat engine in a Ram, you're going to be looking at doing wiring in the whole 9 yards. So that adds a little bit more complication where a Pro Charger, you can buy a kit, bolt it onto the engine, but you got to get the fuel mixture right. So if you're going to do it, make sure you consult an engine builder before you get too carried away. I got one up here from Jay. I want to get him. He is a mod here on the channel, guys. Should I wait for the 2026 model year of the Ram, or do I buy a 2019 to 2024 Ram? And he had a message here, not an eTorque, because he listened, or he was here during my eTorque video. So to answer his question, here's what I'm going to tell you. Jay, do you really want to run the risk of losing that much depreciation when you drive it off the lot? If you don't, then find a low mileage 2019 without an eTorque. And the reason I would go 2019 is because the newer up you go, the more it's going to be eTorque. Once you get to a certain point, I want to say like 2023, 2024, 2025s are mainly all eTorque. There were very, very few that were produced that were not eTorque. So you're going to have a lot harder time finding them. And the people that have watched my video already know those trucks are going to get really expensive because those are the ones that people are going to want. So they'll pay the higher price for them. If you slide back a few years, you'll be able to get one because there was more available. So, Jay, I hope that really answers your question there. And that was from one of my mod squad guys. Max Malone says, can I put a V12 inside my Miata with 2 tanks of nitrous and rocket strap and strap it and strap to its back? That is a very interesting image, and here's what I gotta say. If you can make it look good, I'll give you props. Personally, you're not going to be able to do it because a V12 is just massively too big of an engine to fit inside of a Mazda Miata, unless you're doing massive bodywork and framework to make it fit. And that's just the truth. You got to look at, and this is what I always tell people, whether they want to do performance adders, power adders, or anything like that, you have to look at the package that you're putting stuff into. If you're putting it into a sports car with a tight engine bay, you're obviously not going to be able to get everything sandwiched in. Max Malone says, how about a Camaro instead? The problem with the V12s is even if you had one, the problem is the maintenance cost on them makes it almost not worth putting one in when you can gain just as much horsepower on an old pushrod engine that has power adders. So you're gonna spend a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of patience to be able to do that project when you could simplify your life and just do a power adder on an old pushrod engine. Jay says probably just do some framework. Cut the hole in back and make it work. Yeah. You can always go the old school, and I loved the old school guys who would take old Model Ts and drop V8s in them. Those things were hilarious because the engine itself barely fit within the frame rails, and the headers had to run down the side of the frame because it was so tight. Yeah, that's basically what you're doing. Is you're gonna chop, modify, and mess it up to fit anything. The only reason I would consider doing anything with a V12 engine is if I already had one and I knew I had to do something with it. Then I would look for, a pickup truck with a large engine bay, or look for some other mid-engine car that I could just do more of a drop-in style. But again, a lot of your mid-engine cars are European or import, so they're going to be harder to get your hands on. So there's some costs associated with that. But yeah, anytime you're dealing with current modern day sports cars, power adders are pretty much the way to go over doing crazy engine swaps. The days of crazy engine swaps, guys, is pretty much gone. I hate to be a bummer like that, but they are. They just don't make sense. There are people taking Hellcat engines and trying to swap them into other projects, and a lot of that is done just for entertainment purposes. A lot of times those will have multiple issues later on down the road. They're not ever going to be something you would want to put on the road and drive it. And that is what it comes down to, is reliability as well. If you're taking something that wasn't designed and shoving it into something that it wasn't designed for, you're going to have constant problems, driveline component problems, horsepower to transmission and driveline problems, rear axle problems. You're going to constantly be shelling stuff out until you've rebuilt literally everything to withstand the horsepower that you're putting at it. Big Bad Wolf, what is your take on wheel spacers? I am looking at a 5-inch hub-centric spacer for my 11 Volvo S60. Okay, I can cover this a little bit, guys, because I do run wheel spacers on Crimson Vortec, the 01 GMC Jimmy. The reason I run wheel spacers, 0.5 inches. Okay, I was going to say a 5-inch. Holy, you're really trying to shove that thing out there. No. So a 0.5 wheel spacer that is hub-centric would work. You're not pushing it out far enough to really do a lot of bearing damage. I'd say once you get past a 1/2-inch spacer, maximum an inch spacer. And if they're not hub-centric, don't ever run them, because the hub-centric locks that rim into place to where it's not going to move around. You don't want that rim moving around in there. It's got to stay fixed in one place. So if it's hub-centric, you'll be all right. A 1/2-inch spacer won't do very much damage to wheel bearings, so you should be okay. I'm running a 3/4 of an inch spacer on Crimson Vortec, and that is because the rear axle in a GMC Jimmy or a Chevy Blazer is the same rear axle out of a Camaro. And the reason they did this was they had a bunch of Camaro axles laying around, so they shoved them in the SUV. And what happened was that axle is narrower, so the wheels are sucked in farther. I wanted it pushed out because I want my traction from my front and rear to be in line with each other. I don't want the back being caved in, because when you get into weird situations, the back end becomes squirrely because it's shorter. Once you push them out, it stabilizes it to where it doesn't shove it around and get really squirrely on you. That's the reason I did the rear spacers. Now, if you're just doing it to get better fender clearance and be able to clear a different set of rims, a 1/2-inch spacer is nothing crazy. An inch spacer, you're getting there. Anything more than an inch and you're risking wheel bearing damage. So definitely do not do more than an inch if you don't want to risk having to put wheel bearings in constantly. And that's just from experience on that one, guys. Frosty says, what's good, bro? Not much. We're here on a Sunday. This is a special, guys. Normally I don't do Sundays. Just want to let you guys know that. Normally it's Saturday at 1 p.m. Central. Max Malone again says, do you think V10S are better than V8s in sports cars? I know the Viper guys are going to get really mad at me with this, but I've seen V8 sports cars with superchargers blow away anything a V10 could do. And my example of that is the newest Corvette. We all know how fast that car is. We know that the ZL1 is a force to be reckoned with. There are high-end luxury cars that don't even touch that car. Unfortunately, it doesn't really get put out there that way because of how Chevy's marketing them and how very few of them they're making. But the ZL1 is an absolute monster when it comes to V8 power, supercharged, and the whole 9 yards. You can even go as far as if you wanted to twin turbo. A lot of these engines that weren't supercharged, you could gain a lot of power from them without having to do a super ton. Now, when you are going to start boosting an engine, though, you are going to need to either O-ring a block or O-ring the heads and run high pressure gaskets. If you don't, what happens is when you add that much power, it blows the gaskets out, and thus you wind up wrecking an engine because you'll get coolant down in the engine oil and it just washes all the bearings and the engine's junk. So just know if you're trying to increase or boost an engine, those are some of the things you run into. Which is why I said if you're not building one for more boost, don't add more boosts. Because adding more boost is what's going to put you in that danger zone. Big Wolf says, Max Malone, neither inline 6 is the best. I don't agree with the inline 6 being the best for 4 horsepower on that, Big Bad Wolf. I've seen V8s stomp anything an inline 6 could do. Now, if we're talking reliability, this could be a whole nother subject, and you can make anything reliable if you're willing to spend enough time and money. You can make a V8 last forever. You can make a 6-cylinder last forever. You know, different combinations. The only ones that don't last forever, guys, are the 4-cylinders. The reason the 4-cylinders don't last forever is because they're so small and they're pushing them so hard. That's why I said we're going to start seeing huge motor failures out of both manufacturers. Both Ford and GM are going to start having massive engine issues. There's also a massive engine issue on the 4-cylinder Kias. Guys, there was recently a news report put out that engines were being stolen from the Kia plant, and those engines were designed to go in for other vehicles that needed an engine replaced on warranty. So this tells you how valuable those 4-cylinder engines are because they keep blowing them up and they keep having to replace them. All right, 14 of you guys in here, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're going to continue on with our topic here. All right, next, you want to bring a good set of wrenches, ratchets, sockets, and some hand tools. We're right now going to cover, this is my emergency kit that I grab whenever I'm going on vacation. The reason why is I want to have enough tools to change out a sensor or fix whatever problem I may have. This toolkit does a lot of what I need. Not everything, but a lot. One from Jay. The new Tundra engines have problems also with the Tacomas. Correct. That's the problem is right now there's a huge issue in the automotive industry with engines. They're not being built properly. They're being rushed through assembly. They're not being cleaned properly before being assembled. Metal shavings are being left in heads when they're being machined. Metal shavings are being found in blocks because they haven't been properly cleaned before assembly. These are the problems that they're facing because they're rushing this stuff into production. And honestly, they don't care because they're being incentivized to push the EV program. But if they keep doing this behavior in the gas engine side, if they start doing this in the EVs, we're going to have even more fires than what we already have. And before I get any farther in the weeds on that, I'm going to start avoiding those topics because I know what happens when I do. So, basic toolkit. I'm going to cover a few things in here. Let me know if you guys would carry the same tools or if there's anything else you guys would add to this list. So, I carry a full socket set with ratchets, so I always have what I need when I'm on the side of the road. I carry some wrenches. Now, knowing my vehicle, I need metric wrenches, meaning that I carry the 17, 15, 14, 13, and the 10, because those are the most common. This allows me to be able to work on the majority of what I'm going to come across on that car. Not everything, but a lot. Next, I also carry a set of Allens because, or in this case, torque. There is a lot of torque bits found on a lot of the newer cars nowadays, so having a good torque bit set with you does help. Allen keys will also help as well if you know your vehicle has them. I also carry a few different screwdriver sets, both Phillips and straight or flat. Those give me the opportunity to change out headlights, bulbs, whatever. Another thing you could add to this is pick tools. If you wanted to add a pick tool in here, that would help you as well. But these are some of the basic tools that you're going to want to have when you go on that road trip. And as long as you buy it in a small package, that is a 145 piece set, not including the ones that I threw in there. Jay says, actually, I'll go up to Max Malone first. Do American cars depreciate in value faster than German ones? Jay says probably German ones because of the unreliability. Jay Malone, Japanese cars are the best. Jay says true. Okay, so let's go ahead and break some of this down. If you guys know anything about what I talked about in the news recently with Toyota, you guys know that Toyota's going through some troubles right now. Really big troubles. It's not even a minor issue at this point. It's a massive issue that Toyota is going through, which changes the reliability side of the Japanese cars. They are one of the bigger producers in Japan when it comes to this. They are having massive financial problems, and they're actually looking at having Honda buy in, but the previous president who replaced the previous owner of the company when he passed away sabotaged the deal and totally trashed that. That really kind of messed things up. And Jay just said it right now. Depends on the year, the model year of the Japanese car, correct? I would say anything built in all the way up until like probably the last 4 or 5 years. When I think it was Toyota the second, because he took it over from his dad. When he passed away, which was about 5-6 years ago, somewhere in there. I can't remember which one, but I knew when he passed, Toyota was going to have problems because the board was starting to lean very towards the EV side of things. And when they did that, they completely destroyed the company. It's very similar to what happened with Ram, Jeep, and Dodge. So when that merger took over, it was very similar to what happened there. Unfortunately, we're going to see that become a massive problem. What I would lean towards right now is sticking towards your Fords and your Chevys if you're in the US, because parts are readily available. There's enough of them being produced, and avoid anything first year model. So Malibu Steel is not a first year model vehicle. Mine is a 2012, which is the last year model, meaning that this was the last year produced of that body style before they got rid of it. This is a 2020. The body style changed, I believe, in 2017, meaning that it's not first year model. You want to stay away from first year models because first year models have first year problems, meaning that whatever they didn't fix and they rushed it off into production didn't get fixed. They'll fix it in a recall if it's bad enough that they need to issue a recall. I hate this part of the car manufacturing process. They rush a car into production, things get missed, things go wrong, and you have to spend time at the dealer getting it fixed. First year models are always horrible for this, and they've been this way since the beginning. This is why a lot of people would never buy first year models, especially in the older generations, because they always knew the first years always had the worst problems. Jay says Jeep or Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, I would say beyond 2021. Yeah, I would say don't touch those after 2021. I would even go back as far as 2019, honestly. Uh, that time in the automotive industry really messed a lot of things. And when they started going on this craze that they were going to push the EV stuff, there's been a lot of problems in the gas engine side because things were just missed and overlooked, and it shouldn't have been that way. But it was. The government was rewarding manufacturers for cutting corners and doing what they had to get other cars on the market. When that happened, there was a sacrifice made, and the sacrifice was on the gasoline engine side. Guys, I will be doing the whole cash for clunkers scam. I will be doing a separate video on that. I need to give my YouTube a little bit more time to recover from the shadow banning I took and my last special that I did for you guys. So again, make sure you guys are hitting the like button and the subscribe button. I see we're over 100% engagement. This is awesome. So hopefully YouTube will start pushing my videos out there, and then we can start doing some more of these hot topic issues. But I do need to let them kind of air out a bit. I can't hit them one after another because it doesn't go well for my channel when I do that. So, and he says Chevy probably under 26 or 2016 and under. Yeah, Chevy went through their debacle, and when it comes to the whole cash for clunkers thing, you guys are really going to hate GM when I start spilling the info on that, because trust me, I've got all of that. I've got it all laid out. I already know what happened in that deal, and I'll explain to you how a previous administration was responsible for what happened over there and why that whole thing came about. It was crappy. It should have never happened. But we weren't holding our own people accountable, and they were allowed to do it. Chief shadow ban never. Yeah, I wish that was true, but I've been through my fair share of them with my time here on YouTube. Guys, I've been here for a long time. I've been here since 2019. And some of the stuff I talked about is the reason I got, why I'm where I'm at today. It's because of when I talked about some of these topics, I wasn't censoring myself. I wasn't speaking in enough code for you guys to get it, but without causing massive issues on my back end. And when that did that, it caused me to have to take steps back and redo a bunch of stuff in order to make things better, which it wasn't a bad thing. It actually helped me to work on doing things better. So, and that's what we're working on. I did drop a hint to Jay. I know he was messaging me a little bit this weekend, back and forth. Guys, I've got some good stuff coming for you guys. It's already in the mail, and it's going to help with video production. It will help me to do better quality videos for you guys, and hopefully it'll eliminate some of the lag issue that we might be having. Right now, I currently stream from a phone. That phone is limited on how much power it has, the cameras, how many people I can have on a stream. It really does kind of choke the stream. So by switching to a full camera setup on a computer, I'll have more processing that I can actually do better quality videos, which is what I'm looking at doing for you guys. So just know there's plenty of things going on here that we're working on. Hopefully we'll get some better processes here in the future. Chief says that's why I expose secret societies. Well, okay, when I say the whole shadow banning thing, it's because there are certain keywords that are picked up, and when they are, what happens is they pull down the reach of your stream. They pull down how many people will see it. Oftentimes it's only to people who are subscribed to you or stuff like that. That's why I also push that you guys subscribe, because when you guys subscribe, you guys get to see everything. When you guys ring the notification bell, you'll get notified when I drop my video, usually an hour or two before I go live. You guys will get those notifications. If we don't get the subscribers in, then we're not getting the reach out either. I also noticed that a lot of my streams are first-time viewers coming in, but they're also not hitting likes or subscribe, so it's kind of pulling the channel back a little bit. That's why I push it, guys, when I have to. Right now we got 100% engagement. I can't ask for anything better than that. Yeah, if you're new, just popping in right now, make sure you hit the like and the subscribe. I really do appreciate it. We're trying to build a channel, trying to build a merch store for you guys, trying to work on video production and higher quality for you guys. We may even do a garage project this summer where I'm going to go through and set this up as a better film studio for you guys. And some of that is after we get the projects done. There's a bunch of projects to do though. You guys already know what's coming. Again, we need to know, do we do tires next week or do we do front bumper? So that's kind of where we're at. Which one do you guys want to see more? Personally, I need to get the tires off, so that's one more video I got to do yet today. Either I'm going to do it in this video or I'm going to have to do it and then figure out how I'm going to show you guys. But I might just do, I might pull the tires off film or I might do them here. It all depends on how quickly we get through this. Chief says tires. See if anyone else says tires. Jay, what is shadow ban? Okay, so shadow ban is where they do not promote your video, meaning that you can go live, you can do all the proper search engine optimizations, you can do everything right, but they don't put your video out in front of people because you've said keywords that trigger the algorithm to say this is an offensive topic or this isn't appropriate or we don't approve of this topic. So you start getting shadow banned, meaning that they won't push your video out. And some of that comes down to viewership, likes, and engagement in your chat. So that's why all of those are important. So as you guys see, when I start talking about how that works, it starts messing with viewers up top. Some of that is the reason why. Chief, yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, I'm kind of stealthy about how I do that, but yeah, they do. Yep. And if you talk about certain political topics that are out there right now, that also hits you really hard. If you talk about certain things that they're pushing, I can tell you 2 years ago, if you talked about EVs in a negative light at all, you got your throat slit on this platform. It was a straight up mess. If you talked about it, they would ban you hardcore. And I felt a lot of the effects of that. I spoke out against EVs for a very long time. And they punished me for it. But I'm still here doing what I do, so whatever. Yeah, I'm not going to say that because I know what'll happen, Chief. So, yeah, I'm not going to say that word that you said 3 times. We're not going to do that. Yeah, Jay, so that's what it is. All right, so let's get on to the last part of our tools. If you're broke down on the side of the road, you're going to want to change a tire, and you're going to want to change it very, very, very quickly. Meaning that you don't want to spend a lot of time messing around trying to set up a jack, trying to get the tire off. You're going to want to be able to do this very quickly, and you're going to need to be able to do it in a way that you know that the tire is not going to fall off 5 miles down the road. So what I always pack with me, I start with the first is I have my electric impact. I carry a battery with me that's fully charged. I also bring some tire spikes so that I can plug a tire if I had to. I bring a valve stem tool. I bring a pick tool so I can use this to remove sensor connectors or pick stuff out of a tire if I need to. Before I cover the last one that's in my hand right now, which is also on my hip right now, I'm going to cover this. Torque wrench. always, always, always bring a torque wrench with you when you take a road trip. As long as you're not doing a rental car and it's your own car, bring a torque wrench. Because when you take that wheel off, you want to retorque that wheel back on so it does not fall off. If you do not torque it, that rim could come off, and unfortunately, it's going to come off at highway speed. When it comes off at highway speed, it's going to either hit other cars or potentially hit people. We do not want that. Torque wrench is an absolute must on a road trip. I always bring one with, because if I'm on the side of the road, I want to make sure that rim is torqued onto the vehicle properly to where it's not going to come loose. Next, you're going to want to know your torque spec. You can usually find those in the owner's manual, or you can easily look on Google and find the proper torque spec. That is my go-to source when I need a torque spec, is I'll go right to Google, type in what I need, and usually it'll pop up a torque spec for it. As long as you do that, you can be safe on the road even when you've had a tire blow out on you. So super, super important to carry those with you. And then I'm going to cover the last thing you should bring with you. This gets into the safety part of a road trip. All right, so I got 13 of you guys in here. It's been about an hour and a half. Chief says, do you have brakes? Do you have a brakes video? I do have some out there. I can also redo some brake videos. What topic do you want to see on it? I might be able to just do a separate brake video for you. And while I'm waiting for him to reply back with that, let's talk about the next safety item that you should have. I'm not going to unfold these for obvious reasons because we're on here, but let's say you ran over a piece of baling twine or just do's and don'ts of brakes. I could do a full video for you on that. Honestly, why don't I plan on something like that probably in a week or two, if that works for you. I don't want to push it into next week. I've already have next Saturday's topic already on that, but I'm going to go ahead and put that in the slot of rotation to do for you, just the kind of the do's and don'ts of doing your own brakes. So, and I'll get into tools and things you should have during that video as well. But yes, thank you for the idea, Chief. And you know, Chief, you've been doing awesome today. Guys, welcome. Welcome, Chief, to our mod squad, guys. He has been upgraded from our OBD2 squad to part of the mod squad. So everybody say hi to Chief and welcome him into the chat. He should be added in. I'll wait to see how that works out. So next, what you should carry for safety. What if you run over some baling twine or a piece of wire gets wrapped around an axle? You need to carry something that'll cut that stuff off of there. Also, if you come across a guard wire or something like that that gets wrapped into a bumper cover, you may have to cut that off. So always carry one with you, and even carry one that's for protection. I'm covering it up for obvious reasons because this is probably not friendly on this site, so I can't show it, but this one's a good one. And the reason I say that is it also comes with a glass breaker on the end of it. So the reason I carry this one is if I ever got trapped in the vehicle, it has a slot to cut seat belts, so I could hook it in and cut the seat belt so that I could get out of the car. It also comes with a glass breaker, so I could break the glass if I needed to. Always, always a good idea to carry one of these. It really does kind of help protect you and protect the people that travel with you. I don't go anywhere without one. Even when I'm at work, I have one on me so I can either cut down, shrink wrap, or be able to use it for whatever case I might need it for. But always carry something that can cut. That way, you never know if you have to cut a piece of hose. This would work to trim down a hose for an engine. And now, yeah, I just looked at my viewership on good old UB2B here, and they are not happy with me showing that on film. Kind of figures though. But yes, always have one. You never know when you have to trim down a piece of rubber, or you have to trim off something that got wrapped around the vehicle. Make sure you have one. It really does help. If you guys are just tuning in, make sure you hit that like button, because I'm going to get throttled now for showing that. I'll read a few chats, and then I think I'm going to go ahead and we're going to dig into taking these tires off, because I'm getting new tires on this car. So far I've heard one on doing the tires and nothing on the bumper for next week. So guys, let me know. And Wayward says, good boy. Being trapped in a vehicle is so much fun though. Nah, no, it's not. I would not be trapped in a vehicle. I have fun. Yeah, that's a good one, Jay. Yeah. Like I said, I drive for a living. I also turn wrenches for a living. There's times I need to have that on me at all times. It's come in handy so many times. Whether I'm working on a car or I'm at my job, it's come in handy more times than not. And I always have it on me just in case. So, all right. I'm going to let you guys chat here for a bit while I'm going to put some of this stuff away. And then we're going to get into getting those tires off of Malibu steel. And no, I'm not going to have you guys looking at me putting tools away for obvious reasons. All right, we got 13 likes. Awesome, guys. So what we're probably going to do is set up to pull the tires off of Malibu steel. I'm hoping the new camera setups are less jarring on you guys. What I'm hoping for here is that when I go to lift the back of this car, I don't run into problems up front where my jack stands are for the front. I do not want to knock the front of this vehicle off the jack stands. So I'm going to take this nice and slow, and I'm going to make sure that I'm lined up before I get too carried away. Trying not to hit the car next door here. Okay, there's some rust on this car, and I'm carefully trying to find a good spot to jack on this car. So far, I'm not finding a good one. Okay, so I'm going one by one here. I'm going to pull you guys back so you can see what's going on. Okay, I'm just going single pump by single pump until this back tire is off of the ground. Okay, tire's off the ground. So rather than wasting a lot of time getting carried away, thank you guys so much for the likes. We got 100% engagement. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm going to set up some of the stuff that I need for us to pull this tire off. So yes, as of right now, guys, next week's video is going to be on tires. That's what so far everyone has chatted in. I will do a special brake video sometime. Headphone warning. Okay. All right, we popped those off real lickety split. So what I'm doing is, since they're changing the tires and putting new sensors in them, I'm taking my valve stem caps off so they don't keep them or lose them. I'm also pulling my rim off to load into my vehicle. And these tires are not so bad. They've actually got quite a bit of tread lift on them. But they leak air incredibly bad. So I'm going to take them in. I might see if they can figure out where the leaks are. Otherwise, I'm just going to have them put new tires and new sensors on it right away. So anytime I pull a wheel, and I'm not putting one back on right away, I lightly thread all my lug nuts back on. Also, we have stuff to do in here, but we're not doing that today. We have shocks to replace because the shocks are bad in here. I have to decide if I'm going to put a spring spreader in here because these springs are supremely weak in the Malibus. And when the shocks start getting a little weak, the springs really sag bad. If we put a spring spreader in there, it'll correct that problem. The only issue is we got to do it right, or otherwise the spring spreaders shoot out and do a bunch of damage to everything. So next I'm going to secure the car with a jack stand, and if I need to go up a little higher to get it into a safer place, I will. Don't want to, like I said, I don't want to get too carried away and knock it off of the jack stands up front. One thing that it doesn't hurt to check is check wheel bearing end play before you pull the wheel. Once you pull it, you can't really see any of that, but we don't want to get too carried away wiggling this around too much. So checking suspension components once we can get the front tires on, we'll probably want to do the front first. Just trying to get it up high enough that I can get a stand under it. I'm going to switch out my jack stand to a bigger one. I'm doing this because I already lifted the front of the vehicle up with the jack on this side of the vehicle. Okay, I'll show you where I place this. Okay, so I'm placing that jack stand right here. This is a frame point right here, so I know this is nice and strong. So if this crushes, the car is junk. Bring it down nice and slow until it sets on Okay, so this is that weak spring I was talking about. And if we could put some kind of spreader in here with the spring relaxed, what it would do is hold this so that it wouldn't sag the back of the vehicle so much. Now, some of the things we inspect are these arms here, this trailing arm here, and there's another trailing arm underneath. That one is aluminum. That's what this sits on up here to the frame. So we may choose to just leave that setup alone, but this arm doesn't look too hot. That other one doesn't look too hot down there. That is also metal down there. And this one here. The only thing is I don't know how these are going to come out. Over time, these tend to rust and seize in place. So I will be doing, probably when I do the brake video that Chief was asking for, I'm going to probably show you guys how to inspect these bushings as well and decide if you should replace these arms. If it looks like you're going to damage frame by pulling them, you're better off not pulling them. But just know at that point the vehicle is, you're going to drive it until the vehicle is no longer drivable, and then you're done with it. But this shock is definitely shot. I can see spots right here where the body of the shock is very rusty. There's a lot of oil stuff coming out of the shock from up in here. This is just a plastic shield. So what it's doing is it's leaking out of this top seal running down. And then we also have a spot where the body is starting to rust on that shock. So that is something we will have to contend with for the future. And I'm going to decide if I'm going to go in after those arms because they are extremely problematic. And sometimes you need torches. Sometimes you need to be able to heat the bolts. Other times you spend hours pounding away at rusty bolts. If I can get them oiled up enough to where I think they're all going to come loose and come loose cleanly, maybe I'll go after it. If not, I'm going to leave mine alone because what that's going to do is increase the length of this project, and I really don't want to do that. Increasing a project's length can add to the chance the vehicle could stall out and you won't finish your project. So, to alleviate that, try to tackle one problem at a time. Don't go in like you guys see me do. I do a lot of this vlog style for you guys. I don't touch these during the week. I don't do stuff that you guys don't see. Because if I did that, you guys won't get all the information. I used to do that when I made pre-recorded videos. Pre-recorded means you have to edit it out and make it entertaining. Vlog style is you guys are along for the ride. You guys want to see how this stuff works, when it fails, when it doesn't. You guys are actively involved in the chats. You guys are actively involved if you guys super chat or become a member. Guys, I really do appreciate it. I don't ask anyone to join the membership. I don't ask anyone to super chat. If you do, I do give you guys shout outs as soon as you guys do. It means a lot to me. So it means a lot that you guys are helping support this channel, which is why I'm also trying to give more value in the future, such as working on building you guys a merch store. I would love to have my merch and get it out there for you guys to get and help spread the word of what we do here. Like I said, it's more vlog style, working on cars. I help answer questions. I take my time to look at things, get research, and I do specials for you guys. Some of those are the Cash for Clunkers thing, even financing. You know, I help people understanding how the financing process works and why dealers are so happy to hook you on financing. I show you guys ways of getting around that. So I work really hard to give you guys a lot of value when I do my shows. And you guys give value by interacting down below, hitting the like button, and hitting the subscribe button. My mods are awesome. I am building a great group of mods. You guys do a great job keeping the chat in order, not letting things get too far out of hand, and making sure that I see the questions that come in. So for that, I thank you guys so much. My mods mean so much on this channel. I really do appreciate my mod squad a lot. I also appreciate my members only crew. You guys are kind of like the behind the scenes guys that get to do and see certain things that I might have going. You guys get to see some of the behind the scenes things. You guys also get to have behind the scenes engagements. As I move forward towards the future and I have more members, my members may influence my videos a lot more than everyone else. So that is something for the future. Right now, we're working on building that. When we get there, then I'm going to have them give more input. I'm also going to do specials for them. I'll do special live videos for them. I'll do special, a whole lot more special things. So they'll get separate reels, separate clips, all of that stuff. For any of my mod squad, if you guys wish to become clippers for my channel, I would like to have a conversation with you. My email is down below. Email me and we can talk about how we could do clipping. A clipper basically would go through my lives, find 3 spots that they could clip the video out and make a reel out of. I would want to work something out where they send me the reel, but I let them upload it on their channel and they can work on becoming monetized through my clips as well. But I want to be able to release it and get it out there to the people that are subscribed to me. So something I would like to work on with my mod squad only. So for mod squad people, if you are a mod squad and you are interested in doing clipping for my live broadcasts, I'd love to talk to you on it. Chief says, I love the in-depth info. I work to give you guys as much info as possible. It really does help build the channel. Say my name. It's a German name, and I know. Most people would mispronounce it. I believe, if my German's not too rusty, it would be pronounced Heisenberg. Chief says, I like clipping. Okay, I could do clipping. Yeah, guys, go down into the About section for this video. There'll be an email address in there for Bad Wrench Automotive. Email me over there. I'd like to have a deeper talk with you guys. I need at least 3 clips a week that I can drop exclusively. And then whatever you guys want to clip out of my lives, I would be willing to let you guys just clip whatever you guys want to help monetize you. So that's something I would love to work on and get some clippers working for me on the side. My incentive for you is to help you get monetized so that's how you get paid to do what you're doing. So that's usually how it works for clippers, is they're allowed access to my videos so that they can clip them, and then they can get monetized through their own channel that way. Ethan says, do you like cars? Come on, man. Come on, man. Do I like cars? Come on. Look at who you're asking. 14 likes. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, guys. Anonymous, your thoughts on, okay, so that one I'm not going to get into. I have my own views on some of that political stuff. I try not to let this become a political channel. Again, when politics get into automotive, I get involved big time. I voice my opinion. I look at the good and the bad, and I give you guys all the facts on it. But I tend to stay out of world conflicts because I don't really see the correlation between the automotive that we do here and that stuff. I will say I don't agree with spending money on stuff that doesn't help the country. That being said, some things outside of our country do help our country. And that's where I can leave it. Ethan says, my dad has a 67 El Camino. There's an old school. Heisenberg says, haven't you watched Breaking Bad? No, actually I have not. And the reason I say that is I know of the show, and I know the reason why car washes are popular. So I get some of the stuff from it. But to be honest with you guys, I don't watch much TV. I don't really have time. I work a normal job that requires me to have a higher grade license for me to do my job. I make automotive content for this stuff here. And between those two, they take up well over 60 some hours of my week. I also like to have time with my family. So that being said, I don't spend a lot of time in front of the TV. I just don't have time for it. And honestly, I would rather work and focus on bringing you guys good content and more content and better quality than to focus on me sitting in front of a TV show. Now, I do get some of the references, but that's people that are in this industry and heavy in this industry and can physically do the work. They really don't have a whole lot of time to do a whole lot else other than what they're doing. And it just comes down to how much drive you have to do things. And I'm somewhat envious of people who have that time, but I just don't. And in order for me to do what I do at the quality and the level I want to do it for you guys, it means I would have to sacrifice time away from this or my family to do that. And I can't do that. I can't really sacrifice time away from anything that I have going currently because it'll make the quality suffer on all fronts. So I hope I explained that in a good way that you could understand. Do I got any old cars? No. The oldest I have is the 01 GMC Jimmy. I told you guys I would love to get my hands on a 72 Chevelle SS, but the current cost of them, I can't afford to get one. Plus, I got to have the space to put them. Right now, I've got a full garage and one sitting outside all the time, and I don't like that. I would like to be able to put them inside and keep them inside. Especially winter times, I don't like leaving vehicles sit out in the winter. I live in a very harsh climate. You guys know I live in the Rust Belt, so yeah, leaving them sit outside, they just rot even faster. So I try not to do that. I try to get them in and keep them garaged as much as possible. At some point, we may change the lineup here, guys. We really might. We might sell a few of these off and get different. So I'll let you guys know as that goes on, but as long as we're able to make good content with what we got, we're going to keep doing that. All right. Jay says, my brother has a red S2000. That could be a fun car, definitely. But yeah, I think I'm caught up on chats for now, guys. Awesome. So I'm going to say probably next week, we're going to do a tire video. Tire video will probably get to how to buy them, what you need to do when you buy them, what you're looking for as far as a tire, how do you read what all the specs are on a tire? How do you understand it and interpret it? It's easy to see how a tire is made and understand what it's for. It's another thing to understand that there are different levels to the rubber quality, and that different quality definitely changes the longevity of the tire. And honestly, for how much tires cost nowadays, you don't want to buy something that isn't going to last. So buying tires that are only going to last for a short period of time doesn't help you get down the road. As far as today's video, guys, we covered what tools to bring. I guess I can cover this real quick. Safety in changing tires on the side of the road is very, very important. If you're changing a tire on the passenger side of the vehicle, you're a lot safer than if you have to change them on the driver's side. You should always try to pull off or away from a busy road. Don't be on a busy road. Also, try to make sure that the ground underneath is stable and it isn't black dirt or clay, because you can't put your jack into those without the jack sinking into the ground. One more tool that I didn't tell you guys that you should bring with is a board. Put the jack on top of the board before you lift the car. The reason why is that it will keep the jack from sinking into the ground. If you do that, you can easily change a tire on the side of the road as long as you brought an impact to pull it off quickly and your torque wrench to retorque the wheel. You can do that very safely. Whenever you road trip, you want to have the tools that you need at your disposal to do repairs safely and quickly. Simple things like bringing a board with. It doesn't have to be very big, 6-8 inches, maybe a foot. Is all you'll really need to be able to put underneath that jack, so that when you jack up the car, that board will disperse across the ground and won't force the jack to sink into the ground. It's a temporary thing. You're not trying to leave it on that jack stand because it can easily fall off. So when you go to lift the vehicle, you want to make sure that the lug nuts are somewhat loose, lightly loose. You don't want to take them all the way off. You just want to crack them loose, get it lifted up, and then quickly get that tire off and the other one put back on get those lug nuts tightened down slightly, then let the jack down so you can torque the rim. Quickest way to do it, and it's the safest way to do it. What we can also look at is if you're doing it on the side of a freeway, you want to try to be on, like if there's a big shoulder, be as far in on that big shoulder as you can away from the road. Because people are going to be staring at you when they're driving. They're going to be like, what's wrong with that guy? What's happening? They're going to be distracted. So you want to be as far away as possible. Don't be on that white line. Because if you're on the white line, it's going to be too easy for somebody to clip you or hit you. Oftentimes, I would say try to get to an off-ramp where the traffic is already slowing down. That's the safest way to change a tire, is off-ramp or side road, where the ground is strong and stable and sturdy enough to hold a jack. That's probably your best bet when changing a tire on the side of the road. If you have it where the engine dies on you on the side of the road, you're probably going to wind up getting a tow truck anyway, because you're not going to be able to diagnose a lot of stuff on the side of the road. If you've hit something and you need to get it out from underneath the car, like I said, having the proper tools to get that stuff out will help you dramatically. Making sure that that stuff is readily available in the car, that you can grab it at any time. Also, carry fluids that you can't necessarily buy at other places. Like if you have special coolant in your vehicle, make sure you bring a jug of that. If you have motor oil laying around, make sure you bring that so you don't have to go find motor oil if you need it. And just do a visual inspection before you leave. This is one thing I didn't bring up, but I wanted to bring it up here at the end. Make sure you do visual inspections before and after your trip. And the reason I'm saying this, guys, we're going to have a video on champagne bubbles. We brought it back from our road trip, and I found problems. The problems I find are usually the very common things, meaning belt tensioners, idlers, belts. So we've got one coming up on this, guys. It will be probably a few weeks out, or it might be the week after. I got to see how long it takes for me to get parts, and then once I get parts, it's going to get swapped right away. I can't afford to have this thing go down for something that simple. And usually when the vehicle is moving, I'm not in a position to be able to go and get the vehicle. So I need to make sure that it's 100%. So as soon as we get the parts for that, we're going to stop the project on Malibu steel, and we're going to work on this. Right now, I'm saying tires are next week on this bad boy over here. I'm going to work to get the other tire off on the other side off camera, because it's the exact same thing you guys just saw. I'm going to jack it up, pull the lug nuts, pull the tire, pull everything off. I'm going to even take the center cap out so they don't have to worry about losing a center cap. Plus, I'm doing something with the center caps. I'll show you guys that next week. If we got anything else in the chats, I'll read some chats here, but I don't see any more in the chats, guys. I'm hoping when I go to my new camera setup, my chats won't lock up like they do sometimes. Sometimes my chats will lock up and I can't read for a little while, or I'll miss a few. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, since chats are kind of glitching, we got a lot that we got coming for this summer. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. We're working on a lot of different things behind the scenes. Jay, Chief, if you guys get a chance, message me on Bad Wrench, the email address down below in the more section. And I'll talk to you guys about being clippers for me for my lives. And we can go from there. As far as the rest of my mods, thank you guys so much. My mods really do make this chat fun, make this chat smooth. I don't advise my chat to ever ban anybody. I let people speak their opinions here. I don't ban them or block them. I will time you out if you're being out of control, meaning if you start talking crazy or say profanity or anything like that, we will time you out, but we will not ban you. And the timing out is based on you know, what the situation was for how long we'll time you out for. But my mods work really hard to keep the chat moving smoothly and make sure that I read your guys' chats when they come up. Sometimes I miss them because I'm in a project, which happens, guys. It does. When I'm in a project and I'm working on stuff, I'm going to miss chats. So my mods work really hard to make sure that your guys' chats get read and get seen. I can't always help that my chats lock up like they are now. So I know that Jay and Chief are still here, but my chats are just locking up to where I can't read them. There, maybe I got them back. There we go here. There we go. Now I got them back, guys. Thanks. Yeah, sometimes that happens. All right, let me get caught up here since, all right, S2000 comment I read. Jay probably has 100K plus miles on the dash. Tug or Tesla? Neither. They're both EV. We don't endorse EVs over here. Chief, measure your jack. Yeah, it might have helped if I would have picked the right one right away, right? Cones are yellow tape. Sometimes it's fun seeing how close you can get to cones. I've done that before. Open Google. Tog T10X and meet a tank. Yeah, more than likely. Bunch of emojis. I don't read that language. I'm pretty sure that is Spanish. Chief, like and subscribe. 16 likes. Thank you guys so much for all the likes. The support really does help get the channel going. Helps get us out there. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. That really does help the channel grow. Yeah, guys, we're really trying to grow this year. KM, you hear me? I do now. Well, I read your chat. But yeah, we are definitely working to build more for the channel this year. Trying to do the merch. I got some camera setups coming. We're going to do a lot of different things that... Hey, Mods, you want to snag that one? We're working hard to build more for you guys and bring you guys more content. There's a lot of ideas down the pipeline. My mods have really kind of helped push some of my content. I threw this out last minute to Jay, and just to see if he wanted me to do a special today. Yeah, Jay, go ahead, smack that down for me. KM, it's not offensive. It's just, we want a higher quality chat here, man. We don't block anybody here. We'll time you out though. And no, I'm not drinking straight up sugar. It's unsweetened. 0 sugar, actually. All right, man, that's getting a little weird. So, yeah, guys, we got a lot coming up for this year. We can expect the next couple of videos. I want to get this car on the ground, and in order to do that, we got to get the tires on it, and that'll be next week's video. We need to get the bumper put on this car. You guys see that the bumper is currently missing, and you guys seen me peel this off and all the pieces that we have to put on the new bumper. It's going to take time to put all that stuff together, and I want to show you guys how the back side of that bumper works. Anybody who has done auto body and has dealt with that realm of things, you guys already know how much the grill pieces really do kind of become a problem as far as how they're bolted and fixed to the car. And my old ones were shattered. You could ask Jay or probably even Chief or even Bill, if Bill's still in here, you can ask any of them just exactly how bad that bumper was destroyed. The bumper's no longer here. I got it taken off. We stripped the bumper down and saved whatever we could, which was very little. I think I saved 1 or 2 pieces. Everything else got scrapped. And we got all new pieces coming for that bumper. Actually, they're all here. All my pieces are already in the car for the bumper. The bumper's here. The bumper's painted to match the car. All of that stuff was bought online. And I'll tell you guys all about that when we assemble that bumper. I'm hoping next week is bumper assembly. If it doesn't work out that next week is bumper assembly because we have the parts to fix the belt on this one and the tensioner, we're going to switch and do that because I need this done. And then we'll come back to the bumper and get that bumper wrapped up. But I can see that things kind of fell off here, guys. We're going to go ahead and end it. I'd like to say thank you guys for being here on this Sunday. Thank you guys for hitting that like button. The engagement was awesome today. Chats were awesome. The OBD2 squad really hit it home today. I really do appreciate the OBD2 squad coming in and chatting this up. It was awesome. Mods, thank you so much. You guys really do help make everything go a lot smoother here. It's awesome. Jay and Chief, message me down below about that. We'll talk about it and we can go from there. Other than that, guys, this has been an awesome one. Thank you guys so much for all the support. And as always, guys, I'll see you on the next one.